So tell me if this is a situation that sounds familiar to you. You receive tons of cold emails or cold DMs from freelancers trying to win work with you. Or maybe on the other side of things, you are that freelancer who is desperately sending these cold emails and these cold DMs through social media or otherwise to people that you want to work with to try to win work with them. So Jessica and I receive a ton of these messages as well throughout our careers, and we thought this would be a great topic to dive into because 99% of these messages are completely missing the mark, and it's for a reason that you might not realize. So Jessica, when you receive these cold messages from freelancers who are trying to win work with you, how does that usually go?
It does not go well. I would say if I'm feeling nice, sometimes I'll open up those emails, scan through, kind of see what they're asking about, give them a chance. But if I'm feeling feisty, if I'm in a bad mood, I just automatically mark their emails as spam. So I think it is the wrong approach. It is the absolute wrong approach, just blindly sending these cold emails. And there's a commonality in a lot of these emails is freelancers are reaching out. Sure, maybe they're taking a look and customizing the offer or customizing some of the language, but a lot of them don't include a portfolio. So maybe even if someone reached out to me and they're like, hey, I'm a video editor, would love to help you. And maybe I am looking for a video editor. I scan through, and if I don't see a link to their portfolio in that email, it's automatic no for me. I'm sorry, I don't have time. Nobody has time to entertain an email like that if there's no portfolio. And so it's such a missed opportunity, in my opinion.
Yeah, so I think this is the root of the issue. So if you're a freelancer out there and you're trying to win work with cold outreach, you got to listen up because this is where most of you guys are going wrong, okay? Clients do not care about your story. Clients do not care about your supposed experience. Clients don't even care where you're based out of. We care about what you've done and the proof that you've done it. So if you reach out to a client and you say, hey, I have experience doing X, Y, and Z, look, we don't care. We need to see proof of your experience. And guess what? Sometimes I'll receive an email that actually does have a piece of work or an example piece, but that is just not good enough. I need to know that you're a professional if I want to work with you because I take my work extremely seriously and I have an extremely high quality bar that I have to hit on everything that I put out into the world. So, including one or two pieces of relevant work is not enough anymore. I need to see your website. I need to see your YouTube channel. I need to be able to Google your name and whatever supposed specialty you have. And I need to see who you are. You need to come up in Google. That is the standard that you have to hit now. It is no longer about providing a supposed relevant piece of work. And even if that piece of work is good, guess what? I don't trust that it was even you that made it. You have to hit a level of trust with people before they're willing to give you money. And if you are only giving me a Google Drive link to an edit that you supposedly made, that is not a good enough proof that you're a pro. If I want to work with you, I need to see your website. I need to see 10, 15 examples of other clients that you've worked with. And I need to see that those pieces of work are hitting the same level of quality of the example that you sent my way. So I think that the game has changed for freelancers. And I think that this old mindset of I can just reach out with a well-crafted email. I could talk about my history and how I found the person that I'm reaching out to. And I can even customize my message really well to show that I am talking to someone specific. But if you don't have a trail of proof, if you don't have a personal brand of some kind, if you don't have a website or a YouTube channel, I can't trust that those pieces of work that you sent me are even yours. So I think this is a blind spot that a lot of desperate freelancers have is they're sending these customized messages. They're sending really, well thought out messages, but the proof on the back end is not there. So you're just wasting your time. Focus on building the back end, building your personal brand, building your website, building all of these other things that I can go Google before you reach out to me.
And look, It comes down to risk, right? The heart of this issue is risk. Like if someone reaches out to me, they send me a cold email, they're like, "Hey, I want to edit for you," right? "I want to edit some of your videos." I want to look for the least riskiest situation, right? I don't want to find myself in a situation down the line where you're under delivering. Maybe I paid you some money and I don't like the quality of what you're producing, or it doesn't match what you said you could do. So it's just a huge risk factor. And then, in my opinion, I think cold email outreach is very oversaturated. Cold email outreach was new a couple years ago, right? And if you were quick, you jumped on the bandwagon. Yes, it was effective, but it's way too saturated now. Everybody is sending these cold email outreach pitches. I mean, I receive 2 to 3 a day, right? So the market's saturated. So that tells me that's not what you want to do, right? That's not the tactic. When everybody zigs, you have to zag, especially as a freelancer, to be able to compete, right? And to win client work. So that's one signal for you. It's like if everybody's doing it, it's too saturated, it's not the move for you. And there's probably going to be something else, coming up in the future, a new marketing tactic that you can experiment with.
So I'm actually going to push against what she said. Okay. I don't think cold email doesn't work. I think what doesn't work is bad cold messages. Look, 90% of these cold messages that I'm getting do not have a personal brand attached. It's not that the cold email outreach, I mean, yes, it's saturated, but people still open these messages if they're customized. It's the back end that's the problem. It's the fact that you don't have a website. It's the fact that when I do go to your website, if you have one, it's crap. Your work is not good. It's not good enough, at least, for you to think that I'm going to give you money to be my editor or be my graphic designer. It's not good enough. Your quality bar is not good enough. You're not in the top 20% of all freelancers. So I would say cold email still works, but 99% of people that are doing cold email are doing it wrong, or they haven't put in the time on the back end to build up their personal brand before they start sending the cold emails. It really is a matter of putting the cart before the horse. You haven't earned the right to start emailing people out of the blue. You haven't earned the right to start try to pull people's attention to you because you haven't put in the work on your portfolio to make it worthwhile for them to even respond. You're just wasting our time. You haven't put in your reps yet. Your work isn't good enough yet. Your website isn't good enough yet. And I can't even Google you. You're just some faceless person that emailed me. So if I can't Google your name and be impressed with what I see on that first page of Google, you are not ready to start sending cold messages. That's my opinion on that.
I remember there was one cold email that came through that I actually was considering. I was actually considering. And this person actually took a Loom video. They recorded my website, created a custom Loom video. I saw my website in the Loom video, and the guy was walking me through, like, here's what we can improve, yada, yada, blah, blah, blah. And the fact that he created a Loom video, he took the time, right, to craft this custom message for me. I was open to it. I was definitely open to it. I was like, I want to hear what this guy has to say. And so I clicked on the link to his website, and it just brought me to this like AI generated website, and just like it was a faceless brand. I'm like, who is this person? Is it some company? Like, I just lost trust immediately when I jumped on that website. And so clicked away. Nope. Like, there's too much risk here. So what Tyler is saying is, like, if maybe that person had a personal brand, right? I could Google their name. Maybe they have some YouTube videos that pop up. Maybe they actually have a LinkedIn page that would build trust with me. And then maybe I would initiate a conversation. So it's like, yes, like Tyler said, if it's very customized, cold email can work, but you have to have the personal brand, right? You have to have that supporting credibility when somebody Googles you in order for you to really have that conversation at the very least.
Yeah, that kind of reminds me, there's been a lot of messages that have reached out to me who they even go above and beyond and they'll create an edit for free and attach it to their email. Say, hey, I'd love to do this sort of editing to bring up your quality of your videos. And that's amazing. And I totally respect the initiative to, do a free sample work with that actual client. But the problem is when there's no back end. And so here in the world of AI, what we all fear when we are hiring freelancers is that someone is outsourcing it, someone is hiring someone underneath them, and the person that I'm talking to is not executing the work. Okay. Now, in a world where that is happening more and more and more, and you get all these online gurus talking about here's how you can build an agency and outsource all the work that you bring in to other people that are cheaper in other countries, and so there's so many people doing this outsourcing agency model that high value clients are extremely aware of that, and it's not even enough to dazzle us or to impress us in that first initial message. You have to impress us in the message, but you also have to impress us with social proof. So we need to see that you've worked with other people. We need to see that you have a presence. We need to see that you're a legit person that I can talk to and you're not just some agency owner who is outsourcing all the work that you're trying to bring in. This is what you have to fight against. And the way that you can fight against this perception of this outsourcing epidemic is you cannot be a faceless brand. You have to be the brand and you have to have social proof. You have to have all the things that we've been talking about.
I remember when I first started out in my freelancing journey, and I was quite naive. Looking back on it, I was very, very naive. I was like, I have trust in my work. I know I can do an amazing job. I know the capability and what I can bring to the table. And I would start sending some of these cold emails, and I'd be like, of course, of course the client would want to work with me. But then I would send these emails and no responses. And I think it just goes back to being a little bit naive, right? You think a client can see all these amazing things that you bring to the table, but unless you articulate it into a portfolio, unless you explicitly show and not just tell, a client is not going to understand the value you can bring to the table.
Yeah, that brings me back to when I started freelancing. I was extremely naive, like a lot of people when they start freelancing, and it just makes me cringe because I'm not going to say what client it was or what company it was, but there was a period of time where I was like, I know what I'm going to do to win work. I'm going to go out there, I'm going to create a spec work, I'm going to create an amazing video on spec. I'm gonna make something completely for free for a client that I want to work for, and then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put it on a flash drive, and then I'm gonna do a handwritten note, and then I'm gonna ship it to their headquarters. And I thought this was a genius idea. I did the video, I sent it out, no response. And it was pretty devastating. But looking back, I was so damn naive. The work was at an amateur level. My skills weren't there yet. I wasn't ready to win that client. That was a multi-million dollar company, and they're not going to work with some amateur videographer just out of college. So it doesn't matter how well crafted or personal or how much effort you put into it. If your skills aren't in the top 20% and your skills aren't at a extremely high level and really can add value for the client, it doesn't matter how well crafted your message is, they're not going to message you back. You're just wasting their time. So being naive about where you are in your skill set, about how impressive your portfolio actually is an extremely dangerous blind spot that a lot of freelancers have, especially when they're new. You need to really know where your skills fall and where your portfolio is falling, because you're just wasting time if you're reaching out to clients with a substandard portfolio or with substandard examples of work. And it doesn't matter how well crafted or how amazing your pitch is. If your work can't back that up, you will get no responses, and it's going to make you really sad.
And I always like to say, spend the amount of time and quality on your portfolio as you would a client project. I remember first starting out in my freelancing journey, I would literally post up at a coffee shop on a Saturday. Get there about 10 a.m., get a matcha latte as a little treat for myself, and I would just go to town. And I would spend literally all day making sure my portfolio was amazing, absolutely dialed in. And something else I want to note is get a pulse on the landscape, right? Get a pulse on competitors. What do your competitors' portfolios look like? How does yours compare to theirs? Obviously, we're not saying copy anything. Do not do that. But we're saying you just need a pulse check. Like, is theirs amazing and yours is just kind of average, just kind of mid? Is yours better than the competitors out there? So that's a good way to get some feelers. And the other thing I'll say is, like, with a portfolio, right, you only want 3 to 4 of your best, your absolute best examples, like phenomenal examples. I would rather you have 3 to 4 amazing portfolio pieces than 10 kind of average, kind of mid, because again, goes back to the client. They're going to assume that if you have kind of average mid portfolio pieces, that's going to be a direct reflection of what you can produce for them. So it has to be the highest standard, highest quality of work. And this comes from a place of love, right? Tyler and I are just leaning into this because we care, right? We don't want you to waste your time. As a freelancer, your time is one of your biggest assets, especially as you're growing, you're expanding, you're trying to land new clients. So we want to make sure you're not wasting your time and just sharing a different perspective so you can approach this in a more effective way.
Yeah, I mean, speaking about wasting time and, talking about being naive, I wasted almost a year of my life after I graduated, and I did graduate a year early, so I had this kind of gap year. I pretty much wasted a full year thinking that my portfolio was good enough for me to be a full-time freelancer when it wasn't. So I thought that I could graduate college and go directly and be a successful full-time videographer freelance. And I found out over that course of the year that I was not ready for that. My portfolio was not ready, my skills weren't ready, and I was getting way ahead of myself. So after that year ended, I had to go get a job. And so that's how I ended up getting my first job. As reluctantly as I did, I had to get that job. And so I could start getting real world experience. So I could start working on real client projects, not just spec projects that I was doing in my spare time. And then I had to spend another year after that at another company building my portfolio even further before I felt like I was actually ready to be a full-time freelancer. So you really need to, sometimes you got to put in the time and you got to get back to a 9 to 5 before you can really sharpen your skills and your portfolio to a level where you're ready to be a full-time freelancer. And the only way you're going to be a full-time freelancer is if your portfolio is so impressive that you can send those cold messages and get a response. And that's how you know your portfolio is in the top 20%, because it's so impressive when you do reach out and you do send out a customized message that you get responses and you get meetings and you're actually able to get traction that way. If you think that you're struggling as a freelancer and you just cannot seem to get any traction, you can't get any work, it might be because you're not ready yet and your portfolio isn't ready yet. And you need to go work somewhere where you can get relevant experience and you can sharpen your portfolio. Don't get a job at a place that isn't aligned with your portfolio. Try to get a job or a part-time job that actually helps you enhance your skills and enhance your portfolio at the same time.
And that's probably not what you want to hear, right? I at least vividly remember starting out in my freelancing journey, and my level of ambition did not match my skill set. So I remember wanting these really big projects, wanting to work with these amazing clients, wanting it so badly. But I kind of knew in the back of my mind, my skill set just wasn't there yet. But there will come a point in your freelancing career where those will cross, and finally you'll be able to work with those big clients that you've been dreaming of working with, and your skill set matches. It just takes a little bit of time, takes a little bit of patience, and you just got to keep honing your craft until you can be the best possible option out there.
So, just to reiterate, what we're trying to say is if you are one of those freelancers that's sending out all these cold messages, even maybe you're even doing free work for creators that you want to work for, I would say it's probably a better use of your time to sharpen your portfolio to do anything that helps you get into that top 20% of the skill set that you want to be going after. So maybe take a pause on the cold outreach and just put your time fully into getting insanely good at what you want to do, because most of you guys are simply not good enough. I know it's hard. It's hard for some of you to hear that, but most of you who are trying to make it as freelancers, your skills are not good enough. Your portfolio is not good enough, and you need to be spending time getting better there versus trying to send better cold messages. Because let's be honest, when your portfolio hits a certain level, it doesn't take a whole lot of effort on the cold outreach side of things to get traction, because high level clients want to work with top 20% freelancers. It shouldn't be, this Herculean task once your portfolio and your skills hit a certain level. And guess what? The other thing you got to remember, we've brought this up before, is you might be in the top 20% skill wise of a certain niche, but if that niche is fully commoditized, and I always bring this example up, the Alex Hermosi style video editor for podcasters, it doesn't matter if you're in the top 20% skill set, you're still going to have a tough time because everyone and their mom is in the top 20%. And here's another thing. If it's not obvious to clients that you're in the top 20% of freelancers in that skill set, then it doesn't matter if you technically are one of the best ever, because clients have to know, it has to be obvious to clients that you are, you're a cut above the rest. So keep that in mind. If you're in a space that you can't separate yourself in an obvious way from the masses of freelancers that you're competing with, you need to pivot and you need to get into a different niche where your skills are more obviously showcased as being in the top 20%.
And you can get there, right? We're coming at this from a place of tough love, but really love and caring. We want you to get there, and you can 1000% get there. You just got to keep with it, keep your standards high, keep working on your craft, keep learning, keep pushing the boundaries, and you will get there.
So hopefully this was helpful for all of you freelancers who are in the trenches of cold messaging. Hopefully this gives you a little bit of new perspective on where you should be focusing your time, where you should be allocating your time, and maybe a little more perspective on why things are working or not working when you're trying to win clients, especially through cold outreach. So let us know what your thoughts are on this topic, or if you want us to cover any other topics. And for those of you who would like a little extra support, we will be launching our private coaching community on School soon. So send me an email if you want to be notified about that. That will be happening in the next month or so. And if you have any topic ideas, feel free to leave it in the comments. Otherwise, we'll see you in the next one, and happy freelancing.